XOR modeling. What's up, man? Yeah, you're first. Welcome. Welcome. Iron was watching. What video were you watching, man? The chest UV. Nice. Yeah. UVs are super important. Super important. Bistra, what's up, man? I'm still not sure. I got a couple of options, but I'm still not sure exactly what we're gonna do. You guys are gonna help me decide. Aaron, triangles for a car game. That's a great question. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second and I'll answer your question. I just need to send something to David. Maury, what's up, man? Well, I mean, I just pronounce it like how I read it. Can you guys check? Oh, actually, if anyone's on YouTube watching, please just leave me a something on the chat, just hello or something, to make sure that the stream is working properly. Because we had some issues last week, and I don't want to have the same issue today. There we go, Vishal. What's up, man? Good day. Jack, what's up, man? Awesome. We got Sarn on the house. Awesome. Okay, so here, let me go into the main screen. There we go. 3D Maniac, Rickstar GMR. Awesome. Seems like it's working. Great. Perfect. What's up, guys? Hello. So I'm gonna answer Aaron's question very quickly. He's asking about car optimization for games, and pretty much for anything. If you go online and you look for wireframe and then the name of the game, for instance, Forza Horizon 5, you are more often than not gonna find some of the wireframes that they use in the actual games. So for instance, look at this. This is Forza 2, and look at the amount of triangles that we have for this car. It's probably like 50k triangles or something like that. So I would expect this cars right here to be really high in poly count, and you don't need to like super optimize them, because one of the things that you look for in cars are these very like nice clean curvatures, and in order to get that, you of course need more topology. Now this is something that I've mentioned before, like something probably like this. There we go, Forza Horizon 4. Look at that. Look at the amount of polygons. That's easily 200k polygons for the whole car. And the reason why it's not such a big deal, Aaron, is because number one, cars do not deform, right? They're not schemed that they're gonna be moving. It's like a static object, and it's a lot easier for the engine to move a static object around than to move a character with joints and deformations and things like that. So poly count is not really an issue with static objects. Second, nowadays polygons are really not the main issue with performance in games. We've seen games with millions of polygons on screen, and it's really not that much of an issue. The problem now is the textures. Okay, so textures are like the bottleneck that we have nowadays. That's why games are so heavy. If you downloaded your latest, like I don't know, Call of Duty and stuff like that, it's 100 gigabytes, because there's so many assets and there's so many textures that it really becomes difficult to handle all of them. So if you were to ask me how much polygons can I have on my car, I would say between 100k and 200k triangles is usually a good number, but it will all depend on the project, because that's the same to do a Forza Horizon 5, right, than to do a game for a cell phone, for a mobile, where you definitely need to bring it down. Ideal Roni, what's up, man? Welcome. Emmanuel Headbanger, what's up, man? Good to see you too. Welcome. We're gonna start in just a bit. Let's see. How much poly count is good for a triple A game? Brexter GMR is asking. Again, that's a very, like, it's a, I oh my god. Give me 1 second. So, there's one answer I hate giving. It's like my most despised answer whenever I get asked a question, and that is, it depends. Unfortunately, in the 3D world, I would say 80% of the times I get asked the question, the answer is, it depends. And then I need to elaborate. So let me explain what I mean. In games, there's a bunch of different games, right? So it's not the same thing if you ask me, what is the poly count for a character in Fortnite, which is probably going to be around 30k, 40k, maybe 50k triangles, right? And then if you ask me what is the poly count for, I don't know, like a God of War character, right? Which is easily going to be in the 200k, even 300k, like a poly count. Because of the level of detail, because of the change in silhouette, because of the hair cards, like there's a bunch of different things. And then you could even ask me, like, what's the poly count for a Roblox character, right? I know Roblox is one of the sort of like big things nowadays. So yeah, it's one of those things that it's very, very dependent on what kind of final product you're gonna be doing. And the best answer you can get is always ask your art director, or always ask your client on what they're going to be needing from you as a character or as a creator artist. Like what kind of resolution, what kind of like silhouette, what kind of cleanliness, like all of that stuff is the stuff that you need to ask them so that you can deliver the best possible product. Because for instance, I remember making this comparison. I'm a huge Street Fighter fan. I actually have not played Street Fighter 6, but I played a lot of Street Fighter 4 and 5. And it's not the same to have a game where there's only like 2 main characters on the screen at all times than to have a character like Total War, right? So if you're doing Total War, both of them are AAA games, right? And the amount of resolution that you're going to have for characters in each game are going to be completely different, because the amount of elements that you're going to be seeing is going to be different for each genre in each game. Let's see. Vishal says, technology is improving exponentially, but the quality of games is going down at the same rate. Remember, I'm playing Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on my phone. It was more fun than playing AAA games. Also, what does AAA game really mean? It's just realistic textures and models? No. AAA, it means the amount of money that you are like putting into a game. So games with really big budgets are called AAA games. Games with a middle level budget are called AA games. And games with a very low budget are called just like A games, right? But it's a sort of like an arbitrary like decision that people made. But usually when you think about AAA game, you think about the best possible quality. So even though, for instance, Breath of the Wild is a AAA game, you could argue that the graphics of Breath of the Wild are not AAA, right? So why is it a AAA game? Well, because it's big by a big brand, right? Nintendo, and the amount of work that goes into it is really huge. I know it's the style and stuff like that, but yeah, it's AAA is more about the scope of your game, like the size of your production, I would say is the proper way to phrase it. The size of your production. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like that's the difference, and that's why. Now I forgot the question. Yeah, that's why it will depend a lot, Breakster, on how much poly count you need for each game, because each game is gonna be a little bit different. Actually, I'm gonna do one thing, guys, because I've been trying to get some. What's the word? I've been trying to get some like shorts from our series here, or from our live streams, and sometimes it's difficult to cut all of the stuff that I say. So I'm gonna be writing down topics that I find interesting. So that one's one. Poly count in AAA games. That one's a fun little short that we can do. I would say a month, Ronnie. It's a good amount of time, or a little bit more for a full character. Again, depends on the quality. If you tell me that it's taking you a month to do like this bear right here, then we have a problem. But if you tell me it's taking you 1 month to do Link, I mean, it can be justifiable depending again on the complexity of the character. Mam is asking, what is your take on AI? Is it going to replace our work? Can it? Okay, I'm gonna show you guys something that I've been cooking. So, there we go. So, this is you. And this is the AI bot. So, a lot of people think that the AI bot is going to come towards you, take your job, and go somewhere else. But that's not what's going to happen. There's going to be someone else behind that AI bot that's going to use the AI bot and is going to start doing things, right? Pictures, videos, stuff. The problem is that these things are not curated. And in our industry, if you've worked in the industry, if you've done freelancing or anything, you know that clients always need changes, they always need adjustments. So as long as this person right here cannot create exactly the idea that the client wants, we are still going to be valuable. The moment that he can create exactly what the client wants with AI, and that thing that he can create is like precise, fast, and stuff like that, I would say that's when we need to start worrying. But even then, again, there's someone behind the AI. So that's why I've been mentioning that AI should be a tool for you guys. I'm not against the use of AI if used responsibly. I use the AI on my stuff. For instance, the subtitles that you see on the courses and on the shorts, that's AI. Some of the covers, sometimes I do a little bit of upressing or a little bit of cleanup, and I use AI to do that. So we use AI for denoiser. We can use AI to generate materials. We can use AI like to do a bunch of stuff. So there are, again, good ways to use AI. Now, one thing that I've seen lately, and this is very important, and I've seen this a lot in social media, is that AI, or rather people like us, we're starting to be able to very easily see what is AI, even if it's really good AI, and we don't gravitate too much towards it. In scripts, in images, in videos, it just looks like, no, I wouldn't say garbage, because it does look good, but it just looks empty. It just looks like lacking, like there was no artistic decisions being made, and it's just like a conglomeration of things that are close to what we want, right? But I'm gonna give you a perfect example of where I think AI is fine. Like it's really not gonna hurt anyone. Well, actually, it will hurt people, but not in the way that you think it will. I play a lot of D&D. Yesterday we had our D&D, what's the word? We had our D&D session. And if you take a look at the D&D character, right? Like, let's say you're doing, I don't know, like a dwarf paladin. Very typical sort of like effect. Right now, you can go online and you can try to find a dwarf paladin that fits your idea of how your character looks. Like this guy right here. And this is AI. Right? Like this, I can immediately tell all of the issues with the AI. But as an idea, just as my character for my table with my friends, I think it's perfectly fine, right? Now, is this taking the job from someone else, from an artist that could do a portrait of my character exactly how I imagine it? Yes, but I know how much those character portraits cost. It's like 50, $100 per character, which is totally justifiable. But if I don't want to spend $50 to $100 on that because I'm not that consumer, then it doesn't matter if the AI tool exists or not. There's always going to be people that are going to find other ways to get to the result that they want, which in this case is just an image. So you need to be very mindful that there's the how to say this, the quality bar is always going to be lowered, and the clients or the people that are looking for that low quality will always get it from someone else other than you. It has happened to me before AI. People would come to me and ask me for quotes or just like estimates about doing a character or like environment or a prop or something. I tell them how much it costs, and then they decide to go with someone else who's cheaper. And then they see that the quality of that person was not as good. So then sometimes they return to me and ask me to fix it or to do it again at the proper price. And that's the kind of stuff that you need to understand. AI is just that. It's just giving access. It's giving access to a lot of people to things that they didn't have access to, but it's always going to be at a lower quality than what an artist can like properly do with a good amount of time. Hope that makes sense. I think that was a little bit too much rambling, but in a summary or just summarizing everything, I don't think AI will be able to replace completely the artists, but it will definitely change how we do things. And the small jobs, I think that's where it hurts the most. The small jobs where you sometimes got what's the word, where you sometimes got a little bit of extra money or extra revenue or extra income, those are going to be gone. I'm going to give you another example, and this, I'm very sorry for all my graphic artist friends, but you guys have seen Canvas, right? Like Canvas, there's this software called Canvas, this one, Canva, which is a graphic design software that you can use to create logos and invitations and things like that. This is something that you needed a full degree to be able to do, right? So you needed to know Illustrator and Photoshop and a lot of different things to be able to create these things. Nowadays, if for instance myself, I'm not an illustrator, I'm not a designer, but if I need to do a quick like business card or a quick something, I could go to Canva, buy the subscription, and do something like this. Is it gonna be the best one in the world? Is it gonna be as good as one that a designer would make? Probably not, but it's just gonna get the job done, and it's gonna be, at least for me at that point, it's gonna be a little bit more affordable. However, I understand that there were a lot of people that relied on this kind of works to make a living, and to those people I would say you better like start bringing your A game, because you need to make sure that people see that your work is way better than Canva, because that's the other thing that people don't tell you about AI. And I think this is a really like a really nice thing that you guys need to understand. If your quality of work can be easily replaced by AI, That's not AI's fault. That's your fault. You need to get, again, your game up there so that you can really do stuff in a better quality than AI. Because at least at this point, the quality of AI, or the pipeline that AI follows, is not up to the top-notch level. Like, I don't see people using AI for the next God of War. I don't see people using AI for the next Total War. I don't see people using AI for the next Street Fighter. So if you can get your level to this position, then you're gonna be, I would say, relatively safe, because it's gonna be easier to prove that you are, in this case, better than AI. Yeah, no, Mr. J, I completely agree. I completely agree. Like, I have a ton of my friends are graphic designers, and when I need something done properly, like, for instance, the logo that we have here, the little die logo, that was done by a graphic designer, and he helped me create, like, all of the, like, the marketing stuff and all of the, like, identity, brand identity and stuff like that. So yeah, that's an important one that you need to understand, that if you want things done well, you're gonna be using someone that knows how to do things well, because AI just knows how to grab everything that it thinks is the best thing, but at the same time, it's not really giving you the result. That's why for the concepts that we've been using for some of my courses, I hire my friend Fox, and I instead of using Midjourney and stuff like that, I just tell him, hey, I need this and that, and he'll do that for the concept. And it usually, well, not usually, it has completely worked better than just using than that. Oh, Dario, that's another one. Oh, man. You guys are going... You guys want to go controversial today. Kid Bash. Oh, God. This is another one that I'm going to explain why Kid Bash is a double-edged sword. Kid Bash is amazing. Like, someone out there already did all of the things that you needed for a specific thing, right? Let's say you want to do this dark fantasy, sort of like a Dark Souls environment. You just go here, you go to Kid Bash 3D, which is an amazing company, and you pay $200 and you download this, and you can get this shot right here in about a day. If you use Unreal and a couple of, like, effects, you can get this shot. Now, here's the problem, though. And here's the, like, big problem with using this sort of content. What if you have a client that tells you, hey, I want a dark shot cinematic, like video or whatever of this CD, and you show them something like this, and they're like, oh, this is amazing, yeah. Now, could you please add, like, a cathedral on the center? Like, I want you to add a sort of like cathedral, sort of like Notre Dame or something like that, on the center of this thing right here. Where is it? If the Kid Bash for that thing does not exist, you're done. Like, you're gonna have to hire someone, or you're gonna have to find a way to create that cathedral. Or maybe they show you or send you a picture. This. Maybe they're like, perfect, I love it. Now, for our game, we are using this cathedral right here. We have a concept art of this cathedral right here. Or, I don't know, like this arches right here. We need you to do this part of the environment as well. If the Kid Bash that you're using does not have it, again, you're fucked. There's no way you're gonna be able to do it if you don't have the skills. So there's a big difference between production art and just art in general. If you want to do production art, you need to be able to create whatever it is required from you. So if you're a modeler, you need to be able to model anything. If you're a sculptor, you need to be able to model anything. I was showing David a couple of days ago. They asked me to do. I'm doing a little bit well, it's not a side gig, it's part of the work that I do, but it's the they asked me to do a fish, just a trout. I need to be able to sculpt a trout, and if I cannot find a model of a trout online, I'm gonna need to be able to do it. And sometimes you're not gonna be able to find specifically what the client is asking for. So that's why Kid Bashes are really good. But if I see a portfolio, like someone applies to my little studio here and they are like, hey, my portfolio is all Kid Bashes because I really know how to do this sort of like set dressing and stuff like that. If I need a set dresser, if I need someone who manages cameras, lights, and environments like this, then sure, he might be a good fit for the element. But I'm not going to hire him as a modeler, because if he didn't model anything, if he didn't texture anything, then I'm not sure that he could do it if I ask him to do something else. So there we go. Oh, and now I'm going to give you guys another one. And I want you guys to do this exercise during the weekend, okay? I want you guys to go during the weekend. If you are going to meet some friends or meet some, what's the word? Or meet some, your family, ask them, like your aunt, your grandma, hey, grandma, what do you think about Midjourney? Just like that. Just throw that question out there. And I guarantee 99% of the people are going to be like, what the hell is Midjourney? I've never heard of it. So we as artists are very scared because we know and we hear about what's happening. But the 99% of the population out there, they don't know absolutely anything about AI. They might use it on their lives every now and then with like an Instagram filter or something, but they don't really know how it works. So do you think that someone selling, for instance, here in Mexico, someone who has a taco stand, who needs a graphic logo for his element, is gonna go online, learn how to use AI tools, generate all the prompts and all of the elements that he needs until he masters perfectly the element to generate his logo? Or is he just gonna ask a friend of his that does graphic design to do the work for him? He's probably gonna go for the easier way, which is gonna be ask someone else. Now, the graphic designer might use AI to help his workflow, but that's a whole different deal, and that's what I'm telling you guys about. Like, as a tool, AI can be very helpful, but it's not just a tool that everyone in the world is gonna be or have access to. Like, I know I've had this is a funny story. I have a little cousin who is also sort of like into game design. Yeah, I saw the question from Racer. I'll answer in just a second. So I have a cousin that also has a little bit of a background in design. He's like, oh, I want to do a game, and now with AI, I'm gonna do all my models with 3D AI and stuff like that. And have you guys seen the level of the 3D AI generated models? I mean, it's a little bit like, right? Like a pig wearing a blanket. Like, cool, yeah, that's an interesting model. A ghost eating a hamburger. Okay, sure. But is this the kind of like resolution? Is this the kind of like content? Is this the kind of element that you want to use on your game? Even this one's by NVIDIA. Like, these are just animals. Like, is this the kind of like quality that you expect? Not really, right? So even though you will be able to create this, unless your game becomes like the goat simulator or something like that, you're still going to be competing against the AAA studios that are doing things sort of like traditionally. And this has happened anywhere. Films, photographs, like everywhere. So, yeah. The no speaker. My grandma said Midjourney's Discord admin. So, okay. Okay, let's go. Racer. It says, hi, Abe. I recently came across a dagger made by Neos Nelia on ArtStation. How can we use baked normals from ZBrush or Blender Sculpt to be used as realistic wood? How can you use a bake to create a mask for anchor points so we can paint damaged wood? How can we just... We talked about anchor points on the YouTube channel, man. So if you just look for Ableel 3D anchor points, I made a video about that right here. It's the Pokeball one. So, I mean, if the information is baked on the normal map, then you can use anchor points. That's it. If not, you need to do a layer, and I do that on this Pokeball, where you like sculpt with alphas or with a field mask or something, the groups, and then you convert that into an anchor point. That's pretty much it. Geest? Hakan, I told you about Geest? I don't remember teaching anyone about Geest. Yes, and Lord tell him, there was, do you guys know Gary V, right? This famous influencer. He does like, I love his content where he goes to like a flea market and he buys something and then flips it. It's a very, very fun guy. I like this guy. And he said something very interesting, I'm not sure, like a month ago or something. He was like, with AI and all of this stuff, there's gonna be more content, but there's never gonna be enough quality content. Like, people will never complain about there being enough quality content out there. So will there be more games? Yes. Will there be more art? Yes. Will there be more quality art, more quality games? Who knows? I don't think so. And that's where you guys have a shot, right? Because even if your stuff is between all of that like trash, if your stuff is quality stuff, you will be noticed. Should I continue to learn Blender 3D or switch to Maya or 3D Studio Max? I would say, I mean, it depends. What do you want to do, Brexter? Like, is it just modeling? If you just want to do modeling, you can stick with Blender, to be honest. Yeah, Solid Mango. I saw the messages. This week and last week have been crazy because these are the two biggest weeks that we have here on the country, on Mexico. So I've been a little bit behind on that stuff. Yeah, one of the other things, Jacko, that's very important is that you guys need to understand that as technology advances, the barrier of entry gets lowered. That's the little diagram that I wanted to do here. So before, I'm talking about like the 1990s, right? If you wanted to be a game developer, you needed to work for a company. Nintendo, Sony, all of these guys, because they owned the SDKs for the games, right? So they owned the tools to make them or to do all the stuff. In the 2000s, SDKs and other tools such as Maya, well, in that case it was not Maya, I think it was called Alias, and all of the softwares, ZBrush initially, they started to open up the elements. They open up the gates. So this was the original like barrier of entry. It got lowered when things became more democratized. Then in the 2010s, things got even lowered because now you have Blender, you have Photoshop, you have Maya, you have 3D Studio Max, you have a lot of things that is allowing you even have Unreal Engine. I think this was Unreal Engine 3 where people could make, and Unity of course, where people could make their own games. Well, the same thing is happening now. So AI is just lowering that entry. Like now you don't need to be a concept artist, for instance, to be or to create some ideas with AI to start creating your game. You don't need even coding experience. You can use ChatGPT to get a general idea. Is it going to be the same stuff that someone who has 20 years of experience over here? Of course not, but it's going to give you that entry barrier. Of course, the products that you're going to be able to output at this entry barrier are going to be like really low quality. But I am not questioning that in 20 years, someone who started with AI could be a great artist and could be an amazing producer or creator of video games. So that's the thing that we need to understand. And this is good for us because we benefited from that. I started my journey on the 2010, right? So I got the advantage of being able to just download Maya, download ZBrush, get all of the information, do all my stuff, and learn. When 10 years before that, it was pretty much impossible to do that. Now, you guys, if you're just getting into the industry, now you have the option to use some AI tools that I didn't when I was a student 10 years ago. So that's going to give you guys an advantage. But the experience that I have is going to give me another type of advantage. And at the end of the day, everyone's going to be learning and going through their own journey, right? So again, the only thing that I see AI being very harmful is when it steals. So if you're using AI to create things and then sell them as if they were yours, if they're fan arts or characters or using the style of another artist, then fuck you. Like, that's bad. Like, that's completely bad. You should be sued. You should lose a lot of money, and you should never do that again. But if you're using AI, as with the tools that I mentioned before, subtitles in my case, denoiser, frame interpolation, like, there's a bunch of things that we can do. We even use a little bit of AI, I think, or something like that for games to get, like, more frames. So, I mean, it's fine. It's a cool tool. It helps, right? We just need to be very responsible in how we use it, I would say. And I don't know everyone's going to be that way, so we just need to be very vocal about what we approve and what we don't approve. Mati says, hello, what would you recommend that 3D artist who produces models at a realistic level and wants to specifically enhance themselves in this field while also aiming to make games? Oh, that's a very tough question, man. Here's the thing, guys, and this is a very, very common mistake, and I hate to be the one that breaks the illusion of anyone getting into the industry, but if you like realistic stuff like God of War, right, or like I don't know, I'm gonna use Elden Ring, for instance. It's impossible for you to make an Elden Ring game. It's impossible. You will never make an Elden Ring game by yourself as a solo dev. Can you, for instance, can I do a character at this level? Yeah, it's gonna take me a couple of months probably, but I can definitely make a character at this level. Can I make 100 of these characters, program them, animate them, texture them, do music, sound effects, menu design, UI interface, gameplay? No, you're not gonna be able to do it. However, could I do something like Angry Birds by myself? Right? Could I do the art, the models, the physics? Yeah. You could probably make an Angry Games bird like sort of style by yourself, or you guys probably remember Flappy Bird, right? So there are a bunch of examples out there of people who have done games pretty much solo. I'm not sure if Stardew Valley was always solo. I know it's like this guy, is it Concerned Ape, I think, He's made a lot of the stuff by himself, but I'm not sure if he's completely doing it solo right nowadays. But I believe the first iteration of the game was almost pretty much completely solo. Super Meat Boy is always an example that I give people. I believe this was made by 2 people, Super Meat Boy back in the day. So that's the thing. If you want to do your own game, if you want to do solo dev, it's fine. But you need to really bring the scope down of your game, because otherwise it's very, very difficult. And I even say this with my classes when I'm teaching, for instance, character concept art. When I teach my character concept class or my character design class, which, by the way, would you guys like to have a character creation like workshop? I've been bouncing that idea around of having a live workshop. We meet once every week for like 2 or 3 months probably. Feedback, videos, everything, just to go through the full production of a character. Let me know if that's something that would interest you. Like, there's nothing final just yet, but that's an idea that I have probably for the next couple of months. So when I tell my students, pick a concept for your character on the class that I teach on the university, which is usually 3 months, I always get things like this. It's like, oh, I want to do this character, so cool. It's like, yeah, it's a very cool character, but it has so many things, right? It has hard surface, it has armor, cloth, belts, skin, hair, fur, more cloths over here. Like, it's a lot. So you're not going to be able to finish this, especially as a student, right? When you're first learning, you're not going to be able to finish this in just 3 months. So my advice is lower the scope. Pick something a little bit simpler. Now, do you want to do like cloths? Well, maybe something like this. It's a little bit simpler. There's still cloth, a couple of props, but it's a lot easier. Or like the Oni, right? Like, this is what we do on the Silverish course. We do the Oni because it's a relatively like achievable character to do, because we can focus on the main parts of the character. And that's the exact same thing that I tell you guys to do with developing your own game. If you want to develop a game, try to find a good scope for that stuff, because if you try to go super ambitious, 2 things are going to happen. First of all, the chances of you failing are going to be really, really big. And if or when you fail, that feeling of failure is going to bring you down emotionally, mentally, and it's going to make it a lot harder for you to try to do or to attempt a next thing. So if you, at least for me, this is something that has worked for me. Trying to conquer small victories every single step has been easier than to try to focus on the big goal. You have the big goal at the end of the line, but you focus on the small steps along the way. I'm going to give you guys a completely like real example right now. On YouTube, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you're not subscribed, you could really help. On YouTube, we're about to hit 14,000 subscribers. And I've been celebrating every 1,000 subscribers that we get. I know it's a very sort of like basic number. It's not like the huge achievement. We're not at 100K just yet. But every single 1,000 subscribers I celebrate along with David, because we know that we're making progress and we're growing the community, which is our goal. Of course, when we get to 50K, 100K, who knows how many more, we're going to have big celebrations and everything. But it's important to celebrate and to look for those small goals, because that's what keeps you going. And then you're going to get to the final one. I wish more game companies would show their topology wireframe on their ArtStation page. For now, they only post texture renders in 99% times. Yeah, but again, Mr. J, or sorry, what is you? It's not really what's the word? It's not really like you can just look wireframes. Like, I don't know, Elden Ring. So if you look for wireframes of the Elden Ring, you're gonna find some. No, that's a fan art. Make sure to look for proper ones. Like, there we go. This is the... Oh, no, that's also fan art. Oh my god, it's a little bit difficult to find. But again, you can get a very nice idea just by the silhouettes of the characters. If they look relatively low polished, then you know you're working with sort of like low poly meshes. And some rounder elements are a little bit more complex. There we go. So this one. Elden Ring 3D Showcase. And a lot of people do this. I'm a huge fan of this, but I've never done it myself where they rip the models. I recommend only doing this for study purposes, but you can rip the models or find guys like this who rip the models, and you can see how they constructed them. So for instance, this guy right there, look at how many overlaps there are. Like, overlaps are one of the things that people tell you never to do on your art because they are bad. And this guy just is the overlap lord, like walking, right? So this is where you realize that a lot of the rules that you learn at school not necessarily apply in production, because the main thing that you need to think about is what the hell is that? The main thing you need to think about is what is important for the game, right? Like what do we need for the game? Because at the end of the day, no one cares about the rules. They care about the gameplay, they care about the story, they care about the visuals. So even if you break some of the rules every now and then, as long as you are following the, or as long as you're like making a good result, that's fine. Like, look at this. This is awesome. Like here I just learned a new thing that I didn't know before, that we could use this very like nice little long strips, and then of course use as transparency mask or an opacity mask. We have a video on the YouTube channel about that, to generate like this long strands. And that's actually very smart, because instead of doing this big element, you already remove a little bit of the weight from the transparency by adding this long squares. So yeah, next time I do something like this, I'm definitely gonna follow this approach. The Triangle Forge is here on YouTube. What's up, man? I've been seeing some of your videos lately. Amazing stuff. I want to try the landscape one that you uploaded. Very, very cool. I want to design a horror house for game. How can I do that? That will be the right approach for level design. Oh, that's a great question. So again, it depends on your level, right? But if you look horror house concept art, if you tell me I want to do the full like mansion, the full like Resident Evil mansion, I'm gonna tell you, hey, that might be a little bit too much. Try doing a room. Try doing just this, a single room. Have you guys seen like the escape rooms? Like if you want to do a game for horror, instead of doing the full game, try to do a 10-minute experience, a 15-minute experience of a puzzle room or a horror room, where it's just one room, just one character, and try to tell a story there. Just with that. And I assure you that you can do it. Because that's what we do with our VR games. Our VR games, the ones that we develop for the museums, they're 7-minute longs. 7-minute long games. And that's it. We have 7 minutes to tell a story, guide the customer, the audience through an experience, have them enjoy it, add some gameplay, and it's just 7 minutes, because that's how long the experience usually takes. So try to, again, like bring your approach lower. Nomad. Can I make a character portfolio 3D in 3 months if I work all day? Yes, and actually that's the same question that Ariane is asking there. Do you have any advice for working on a portfolio piece along with a full-time job? Yes. You need to stop the bullshit. That's the advice, and that's an advice that I give myself as well. Because we are very good at making excuses. Humans are very, very good at making excuses. I completely guarantee that you guys, both of you, Nomad, Ariane, myself included, we have at least 2 free hours a day, at least. And in those 2 free hours, you're either on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, I don't know, Facebook. You're just browsing social media. You're just like doing nothing. Those 2 hours, I'm not telling you use those 2 hours fully doing 3D, because I know 3D is tiring, especially after a day's worth of work. It can be very, very exhausting. But try to dedicate 45 minutes. Just put yourself a timer. Say, I'm going to work 45 minutes on whatever it is I want to work on, or I want to learn a new skill or something. 45 minutes, you put your timer and you start working. And I guarantee that once you start those 45 minutes and you hear the timer, you're not going to want to stop. You're going to be like, I want to just do 5 more minutes or 10 more minutes. And you're going to continue working, because inspiration, as I believe Picasso used to say, will find you working. So just start something, okay? And I actually have, I'm not sure if you guys can see it here on the desktop. It's very faint, but I have a lot of like motivational quotes that I've written for myself. And there's one that I really like that says, just 1% every day, just 1%, but every day. So you need to make sure that every day you try to do just a little bit of something to move your goal forward. I know not every day you're going to have the strength or the mental fortitude to do a lot of stuff, but if you do just a little bit, that's going to really push you forward. Visuals of Visual says, if someone practices ZBrush, Maya, Houdini, oh yeah, I'm gonna show you one, Bauti. Visual says, if someone practices ZBrush, Maya, Houdini for 6 hours a day for 6 years, how far can one person go? Really far, man. Like 2 years. I would say after 2 years, you should be in a really, really good like level. You should be ready to get into the industry. 2 years is, I would say, a very nice one. You're not supposed to always want to feel to do something. Just do it. It's discipline. Yeah. I completely agree, Dots. And another advice that I like to give my students is, if you don't feel like doing something, try to do something else that eventually will help that something, okay? So For instance, if one day I'm not feeling like recording for the premium course, okay, I'll do a short, or I'll do a post, or I'll try to work on something that I know I'm gonna need later on the shorts or on the course. So always try to do something, because if I just again stare at my freaking TikTok all day long, it's gonna be like you're not gonna learn anything, right? Okay, let me see where this file is. This is an old file. It's XP. The zombie. Yeah, let's do the zombie rig. So this is a project that I did a long time ago. For a game that unfortunately never came out. There we go. Can you see that a little bit better? A little bit too much. There we go. So this is a zombie. It was for a game like Total War, and it was gonna be like a bunch of these guys on screen, right? I'm not sure if the rig is finished. It's quite finished, I think. Let's see. Yeah, it's quite finished. We have fingers. What the hell? Why can't I select the curves? I'm not sure why I broke those curves. But anyway, so this is a low poly. If we go display, heads up display, poly count, this guy is at 7,000 triangles, 6,964 triangles for the whole character. The eyes, they do have the proper loops in case you want to make it blink with a facial rig, but this guy does not have a facial rig. Could this be simplified further? Yes, it could definitely go a little bit less, what's the word? Display layers? Could be, yeah. No. Oh, there we go. So it's a barely finished rig. I think I was still missing some skinning things, but it's relatively finished. And you can see that it's very low poly. But once you see it with textures, especially at the distance that you were gonna see them, which is gonna be like roughly at this distance, you're not gonna really like have that much of an issue. Like it's gonna look fine. And most of the details, of course, on the normal map. And this guy was not gonna be using roughness and metallic. It was just gonna have a normal map and a color map. So as you can see, it's got this sort of hand-painted approach. It's not really hand-painted, but sort of hand-painted approach. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Roma-san, what's up, guys? Welcome back, man. For me, the hardest thing is getting started when I know I'm not good at something. No one is good, man. No one is born like knowing anything. Like yesterday, I finished printing. I was printing my the sword, the dwarf sword. Actually, I want to check if the print is ready so that I can show you. Let me see. You guys want to see that print? I think it should be done. Checking the camera. So I had to move the printers down. The noise and the smells were getting a little bit heavy. Second. Let's see. After having such low poly model, how's your model look still curvy? Oh, you want to know how, Arindom? Because of retopology. So one of the things about retopology, and that's what I'm going to be teaching on the next course, that I promise is going to be releasing next week, is that you need to capture the silhouette. So if you capture the silhouette, you're going to be able to get away with a lot of stuff. And that's the secret to retopology, capturing the proper silhouette of your elements to get to a point where you look at the model and you still see this sort of like soft effect. And it's still low poly, right? Like I have not pressed like 3 or anything. It's still low poly. You can see it, but you're hitting the right angles. Isarasi. Okay, the model's done. Let me go get it, guys. Give me 5 minutes or less. I'll be right back. Okay, you guys ready? So let me explain what happened. And this is the answer to one of the questions that we got a second ago about not being good at something because you're new, right? So yesterday I printed the sword from Door. You guys remember Door from our substance course? You might want to link that one there. In case you didn't know, the latest course that we released was the substance course. Where is it? There we go. And for the substance course, the first chapter, I teach you how to do this sword. And one of the things that I like, this to me is like a gift to young Ave. Like when I was just starting as a 3D artist, it's a little bit of a gift to him, because one of the things that I always dreamed of was being like designing my own weapon, doing it in 3D in a very nice level, like this one right here, and now 3D printing it. So let me go full screen here. There we go. Thanks for the follow, Mr. Choka. So this was a 3D print yesterday. Right here. Look at that. Quite cool, right? So we 3D printed with the Elegoo Neptune, but I got a little bit too carried away and I broke it. And I broke it because when I was preparing the file, I just like connected these two things and printed it as a whole piece. But when you swing it, the weight of the sword is too much and the handle just broke. So I learned, and I had to do another prototype. And now the second prototype is this one, which is fresh out of the printer. I actually need to remove the supports and stuff. You can see there. Actually, that's a fairly easy support removal. There we go. So now what I did is I designed this thing right here. Of course, I'm gonna glue this together so that it doesn't freaking fall apart. But that's it. And this, of course, you can see the slot right there. Gonna go back into the blade. I'm not sure if it fits right now. I might need to do a little bit of sanding. Actually, it does fit. There we go. So hopefully with this, I'm gonna be able to swing my sword around a little bit more without any like fear of this falling apart. But that's how you learn. Now, is this time? Is it material? Yes, of course, but that's experience as well. That's how you get experience. So yeah, look at this, guys. We got Door's sword, real size, ready. I think I'm gonna have it like over here or something. Pretty dope. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna paint it and everything. I'm gonna show you the final result on a short later on. But that's how you learn. That's how you improve. And that's I would say. I've talked about this before, but I'm just gonna say it again. One of the best ways to learn is learn through a project. Like if you set yourself a project, you're like, I want to do this, and you look for all of the necessary information and things that you need to get to that goal. You are gonna learn. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna fuck it up a lot, but you're gonna learn, and you're gonna be able to generate a very nice result at the end. It's gonna make you feel really good, like this thing does to me, and it's gonna teach you things that next time that I need to do something, I'm not gonna make the same mistakes that I did in the past. Here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna kill some students who use metal etchware without care. And that thing that's happening right now there with Aryan and Breakstar, that's one of the things that I'm the most proud of in this channel. Like, not only am I really happy with all of the things that we've done, but I'm so happy that we have this amazing community. If you guys are not on the Discord, you should join it. It's a very fun place. There's a lot of work there, people sharing stuff. And I know we as artists tend to be very introverted. We don't like to share or just like like talk about our stuff too much. But if you do it, you're gonna learn a lot, which again is very, very, very important. So yeah, that was the question for the low poly version. This is a low poly character. Let me show you another one. I have another one here that I really like. Okay, this one I did not do, and this one's not finished. This was done by a good friend of mine. His name is Ivan. He was my first student, or one of my first students. He's now a professional. And he did this skeleton right here. Let me show you the wireframe. There we go. Let me see if I have the textures. If you ever lose the textures on your project, here's a cool tip. You go to General Editors and then File Path Editor. You can see that it's trying to find something and it's not finding it. You just say repath files, and you look for the project. So in this case is this one. I'm gonna say search subdirectories and repath. It's gonna find some, not all, but some. Okay, it did find the textures, which is what I was looking for. There we go. Oh. So this is it. So look at how much detail he was able to get on the character with super low polish. This one is a little bit higher because it has more armor pieces. So it's at 9,906. And yeah, it looks very, very good. Again, I don't think the rig is ready. I'm not sure where yeah, you can see there's a lot of issues. But yeah, it was a very cool character. Can you give any more sneak peeks for the new course? I'm gonna be completely honest with you, Solid Mango. I've recorded 2.5 chapters. I hate them. I don't like them. I feel like the flow and the element is not working, and I tend to be a little bit perfectionist with my courses. So this is something that I was gonna tell Sarn after the stream, but he's gonna know now as well. I'm gonna do the whole course. I'm gonna try to do the whole course during the weekend. I'm gonna do like a crunch during the weekend to finish the course, but I'm gonna have to restart it. I'm gonna re-record it. It's not a long course. It's like a 6-7 hour course, so I should be able to do it. But I definitely want to redo it because I don't like how it's looking. I don't like how it's working. So yeah, I'm gonna get some long grinds this weekend, but I'm gonna make sure to make it good. So yeah, that's the news. That's why I haven't shown any progress there. Exactly. As Dot says, it's get it right rather than regret after. And I don't want to regret it, and I will never sell you guys or promote a course that I'm not proud of. And right now, I'm not feeling proud of the flow, mostly the flow, because I feel like the information is fine, but the flow just feels very sluggish, very slow. And I think, like, retopology is by default a sort of like a boring thing. So if you have that plus a like sluggish course, no one's gonna watch it. So I want to make it. I'm gonna make it right. How do you have so much technical knowledge regarding every software, Arindums? I'm very stubborn, Arindum. I'm very curious. I'm a very curious person. I think I do. See, my wife is a psychologist. She has a PhD in psychology, and she has hinted that I might have some sort of like it's not autism, Asperger's, I think they say it. So I'm hyper focused on certain things, and then on other things I don't pay any mind to them, and I'm a very irresponsible on those side of things or sort of things. So maybe I'll get myself checked about that later on, but I'm very hyper focused about things that I like. So when I like something like 3D, I just get so deep into it. I literally like to go to the documentation and read the documentation to understand how the tools work. That has helped me quite a bit. So yeah. The opposite of ADHD. Yeah, I think so. Let's see. If you had to choose, what would you recommend that a beginner should create for the first couple of projects? Props. Simple props are always a good idea. So, simple prop concept art. That's why on the channel, like right now, if you're starting Maya, I just released a video on the SNES controller. I think that's a good one to start, like learning a little bit of a hard surface modeling. A barrel, a chest, even this one's right here that I criticized the other day. Stuff like this, like at least for the first couple of months, I think stuff like this is perfectly fine. And then once you get a little bit better, you can start focusing on small environments. I've always said that a small room, like a room concept art, is a great way to learn about 3D, because you learn a lot about proportion, you learn a lot about lighting, you learn about like set dressing. So just finding a concept, it could be a room from a series that you like, And just trying to do that, I think it's a good one. My kid right now, she's watching a lot of Bluey. Have you guys seen this show? It's so fucking cool, man. I love the show. So if you look for Bluey Room, like if you like whimsical sort of like kids friendly stuff, try to do this one in 3D. How would you approach it? Because right now we're seeing this in sort of like a very exaggerated perspective kind of way, but you could like make it in such a more realistic way. And it's a great exercise to, again, to understand form, proportion, and stuff like that. Artful Nerd, what's up, man? Kirill. I was thinking about working today, but we're getting so many questions. I was gonna do some sculpting. But keep the questions coming, guys. I'm always happy to just talk and have fun. What are your favorite art books from the books behind you? Oh, that's a great question as well. I picked my top 3. This one. I'm gonna start from the most like simple one. We're gonna go. Stuff's getting really cluttered over here. So this one, let's go full screen. This one is The Art of God of War Ascension. Honestly, I never played the game because I never owned the PS3 or 4 back in the day, but I was always a huge fan of the art. And this one was showcased when I was at Noman, and you could pre-buy or pre-order this book, and it was going to be signed by all of the art team. So it's autographed by Cecil Kim, by the director, I think. I'm not sure if some of the voice actors as well, but most of the art team, they sign right here. So I'm not sure if this is valuable or not, but to me it's like super awesome. And it has so many things, right? So many characters, some 3D models, concept art. It's just so freaking amazing going and studying all of this information. Like if I ever had to do like some sort of like Greek mythology sort of thing, I would definitely like try to do some fan art from this book, because it's just, look at this. These are some zebra sculpts right there, and you can learn so much just from studying and visualizing all of the elements right here. So yeah, this is, I would say, one of my favorite books. Then, of course, this one, which is The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey Chronicles, which is again an art book. Beautiful art book. I'm actually missing one. I'm not sure where to get, but I'm missing one because there were 2 books for each movie of The Hobbit, and I have 5 of the books. I'm missing the white book. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I definitely need to finish the collection there. But this one, again, like, it has so many things, and this is the kind of stuff that, for instance, this is where I think AI will never be able to really surpass an artist. Look at how many attempts and different ideations they had for the beard, for the cloaks, for the freaking slingshot. Like, people were doing sketches for the slingshot of this guy to try and find the best weapon and the best fit for him. That's the sort of stuff that you need an artist and a designer for. And it's a lot of information, a lot of theory, a lot of things that you need to think about in order to be able to capture all of this effects into your work. So this one was a great one. And then this last one is special because I'm pretty sure no one in this stream knows about this book. I'm confident. This book is called Elf. Elf Book 1. And this one is a book that a teacher of mine did about I think it was a webcomic that he was doing called Elf. His name is Sung-Gu Kwon. I'm gonna write his name in just a second. And the reason why this is so special to me is because it's beautiful. It's so freaking amazing. It's a comic book, right? There's a lot of like nudity and stuff. Hopefully we don't get banned if something shows there. It's like a mature theme, D&D adventure, but it's with all of this like crazy stuff. And you know what I love about this book? I love that this like what we're talking about. This was made by a single person, my teacher, Sung-Gu Kwon, and it's like having all of his artistic mind in here. And again, you can learn so much from composition, dialogue, art, a lot. This was a limited run that he did. He did like a Kickstarter for this book, so I don't think you can get it anywhere. That's why it's also very, very special for me. And another thing that's very special is I bought it when I was in LA, in Los Angeles, and then I moved back to Mexico. And he made sure to ship it to me with a shirt. I had a shirt, but I used it so many times. It had like the wombat. I used it so many times that it's no longer available, or it no longer works. I wish I could have another one. And that to me is so special because it's like a little secret for me, right? It's like a little art piece that I know very few people have, and I don't know, that just makes it very special. So yeah, those are I would say some of my top 3 books from my collection down there or back there. Let's see. Skeleton Warrior is looking great. How would you make a transparency map onto low poly for chainmail? Just a plane, man. Like just a plane. We did a video on the YouTube channel. You might want to check it out. We did a banner, and it's just a plane. So, for instance, if he's wearing like a cape, right? Here's what I would do. I would select the faces here on this thing right here. I would say edit mesh, duplicate, and then there we go. Sometimes when you duplicate, this thing's locked. In this case, it's not. I would add an edge loop right down the center. Delete these faces right here. Grab this edge loop. Just push this down. And then you delete those ones as well. Now here, of course, you can play a little bit with the position of those planes. Because it's low poly, right? Like you want to keep this as low poly as possible. Just play with a little bit of the position here. There can be a little bit of overlap, but you gotta be careful. Here, what I would probably do, just to change the silhouette a little bit, is I would probably add a little bit of an angle to the skirt, so it starts a little bit high and then it goes low. That's it. Now let's assign a new material. Arnold, or sorry, Maya. Let's do a Lambert. And on the properties of the material, you can add transparency, right? So what we can do here is I'm gonna do a UV. I'm just gonna do a planar mapping. Let's unfold layout. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this. Go. Let's of course soften the normals. So mesh display, soften edge. And then in here, what color should we be? Red or blue? I think red probably looks the better. Right? Do we do red? Red. It's like a dark red. There we go. And on the transparency, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna insert a ramp. So the ramp is going to be a black and white ramp. It's going to be a U ramp, or sorry, a V ramp. I'm going to flip this around. There we go. We can play there with the intensity. Let's make this a little bit harsher. Something like that. And then what we can do, because remember, the white right now is what's driving the transparency, right? So what we can do is we can go to the white, and instead of using that white, we can use something like a noise. And then on the noise, you can just play with some of the values here to try to make it a little bit more contrasty. Right now the resolution is very low, but you get the idea, right? So if we paint that element in Substance Painter, we can get a nicer effect for transparency. Now this is expensive though, okay? Like having that sort of like soft transparency can be a little bit expensive. So only use it if you really need to use it. Otherwise, it's gonna just be a hit on your performance. Yes. Constant Vector 3 is just oh. You guys are going technical, but I love this. So that thing, constant vector 3. You guys need to understand that everything in the world, in the digital world, is zeros and ones, right? Everything is like information. So a color, such as red, is information on 3 values. So this red has a 256, 0, 0, because this is R, G, and B. A vector is a direction, X, Y, Z. So as you can see, an RGB coordinate and a vector can be very similar because they are 3 values. So when you create a constant 3 vector, what you're creating are 3 values that you can then translate into a color information. So in this case, 25600, which will give you red. So that's what it is. Now, you need to understand another thing. There's something called a float. Okay? And a float is any number, including its decimal points. Okay, so dot, number. So you can have 1.73, 2.56, 158.07. All of these guys are float numbers. There's another value called an integer. And an integer is a whole number. So if you have 173 and you make it an integer, it's going to be 2. Because it, well, sometimes it does sometimes it just like erases the numbers and sometimes it like rounds up or down. So an integer is just like a whole number. Vectors are floats, okay? So a vector is made out of 3 floats. So you have float, float, float. You have a vector. That's what it is. One time in production, I had to rig a character model in Blender for animation instead in Maya because one of my peers said there might be important problems. Was a rough time. Yeah, that's the unfortunate side of rigging. Rigging and animation, they only work for the software that you're doing it for. So if you're rigging Blender, you're gonna animate in Blender. If you're rigging in Maya, you're gonna animate in Maya. If you just do bones and weights, you can move them around without any issue. But if you're doing actual like complex rigs, such as facial rigs or deformation rigs and things like that, they need to stay within their software. You can then export the baked animation information, but the rig itself cannot be exported because the tools are different for each software. What should one create when I learn about ZBrush from a course? Rahul, I would recommend checking the Oni course. In the Oni course, the first chapter is the dragon skull, so we do a skull. And then the second chapter is like a little environment, so we do some rocks and we do like a Torii gate, and then we start doing the character. I feel like that's a good sort of like, it's a little bit fast paced, that course, but I think that's a good way to do it. Says, hello, I'm Cesar from Colombia. You made a portfolio review for me, and I want to thank you about that. De nada, Cesar. Un gusto. Qué bueno que te haya servido la información, mi estimado. Ya sabes, si tienes alguna duda, ahí en Discord me encuentras y con gusto te apoyo. En español, si se te hace más fácil. Can you shed some light on the future of hand-painted textures? Same thing. I mean, yes, there will be some games that are going to be using tricks such as AI or such as the one that I have on my channel. There's a video I did about hand-painted style texture in Substance, and it gives you a relatively good result. It's not bad. So there will be a lot of games that are going to be using that. And if the game is good, then people are going to, like, they're not going to care too much about it. That's one thing you guys need to remember. In our industry, both the movie industry or the entertainment industry, what matters is not, I mean, the quality really matters, right? But I've seen so many janky animations and textures and stuff in games that I love. Let me think about one. Like, you remember Overcooked? Have you guys played this one? Overcooked, it's an amazing game. And I'm pretty confident, based on what I see on the textures, that these were not hand painted. They used a similar technique to what I showed on the Substance course, where they used some projections, light projections and things like that to generate this effect. And you might be like, those characters suck, they're super simple. Yeah, but this is one of the like top seller games in Switch, I think. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters, right? But it's not the main thing. Like, the graphics are not the main things for a game. Same thing for movies. You might have seen a movie that was not shot perfectly, but if it was a good acting, if there was good acting, if there was good the story, then you ignore the shooting, right? Like, usually the early works of directors are like that. So, yeah, Play Together is very good. So the Oni course, do we have to complete both the Skull and Oni? Well, I mean, you need to complete Chapter 1 and 2 if you are completely new to ZBrush, but if you already know the tools, you can jump straight into Chapter 3, which is the character. I do decent character art, and how much do you think I should charge my clients for per model? Oh, that's a question I'm gonna try to give my opinion on how much to charge. Okay, guys. Now keep in mind that situations may vary, and this is something that is very controversial. Some people say to charge by the hour. Some people say to charge by the client. I had a book. I don't know where it is nowadays. But here's the thing. First of all, whenever I'm gonna charge, I look at this like chart or this sort of like mind workflow. Is my client a small business, a mid-level business, or a big business? Small business is someone who's got like a little shop in your hometown. They sell local products. It's just one guy doing the whole thing. And in general, you feel like it's a small business. Well, I'm going to have a specific quote for this person because I know that whatever I sell them, they're going to sell for probably like this plus 1.5, right? Something like that. So they're not going to make a lot of revenue from that stuff. If I'm working for a mid studio, for like a client, like a freelance work, I'm going to charge a little bit more. Why? Because I know that the product that they're doing is probably going to give them at least 4 times, right, what they're selling. And if you're working with a big client, like think Coca-Cola. Imagine Coca-Cola tells you, hey, can you do a commercial for me or a short? You're going to charge them the big bucks. Why? Because that short is going to get them like a ton of money, right? So you do need to keep this into consideration. There are some people that say, I don't want to work for small people. I only want to work for medium and big businesses. And that's fine. I personally, I work for, as long as I have time, I try to work for a little bit of everyone, right? So this is the first thing. Like I need to make sure that I know what type of client I'm working with. Once I know this, I make a little bit of a head note. I'm like, okay, how much money, this is Abe, how much money do I need per month, okay, to pay for everything, to pay for my light, to pay for my softwares, like Maya, to pay for food, of course, to pay for my house, everything, all my number. And that is my, let's call it monthly base. Okay, so let's call this X. If the project that I'm gonna do right here is gonna take me Y amount of time, Y is gonna be time, I just try to divide this by the time. Okay, so if I get a small gig and it's gonna take me 2 days, well, I divide X by 30, which is the days in the month, and I get 2. And then from here, I usually add, depending if I need to buy models, if I need to buy textures, if I need to pay for an extra software, and I'm gonna like add more or less money depending on how complex the element is. Like I'm gonna give you an example. The other day, a friend of mine, I don't have one right here, but a friend of mine, he called me. He's like, hey dude, I need keychains. I need a couple of keychains, and I saw that you have a 3D printer now. Can you do some keychains? Sure. It took me 1 hour to do the design, and then it took me 8 hours to print the whole thing. But I was not there printing them. It's just the printer doing the whole thing. So I pretty much just charged him for like 3 or 4 hours of my time, and that's it. And I was happy. He was happy. Good stuff. Good money. It was fast. But then I've gotten clients that are like, hey, I need you to be with me working for 2 or 3 weeks for a specific project. Well, then the number is going to go higher. And I don't charge the same for like a Mexican client that I do for an American client or a European client, because again, the incomes and everything is a little bit different. My advice is try to look for what the average income is for the position that you're being hired for on the market. And you can use that as a sort of like what's the word? Like a gauge or gauge? Like you can use that to measure whether or not you're selling cheap or selling expensive. Now, my advice is always try to push your price higher. Why? Because what we do is valuable. And if you bring your price lower, not only are you hurting yourself, you're hurting everyone on the industry. Because imagine my friend goes to you and he asks for a price on the keychains, and you give him 1/10 of what I was gonna charge him. And then he sees the quality and maybe he's not convinced, and then he comes to me. He's gonna ask for my price, and when I tell him that my price is 10 times as much, he's gonna be very angry. He's gonna be like, why are you charging so much? This other dude was doing it for 1/10 of the price. So that quote that you gave is hurting everyone. So that's why you should always charge for what's fair. Platforms, there I'm not going to be able to help you as much, Cesar, because I have not put myself on platforms. I've been fortunate enough that most of the clients that get to me are because they are looking for my work. So, but I know that there's things like Fiverr and Upwork and things like that. So yeah, it should be a fair price. Like a fair price is a price that allows you to pay for all of the things that you need to work, that gives you an income that allows you to keep a stable life, right? Pay for food, for house, for energy, all that stuff, and leaves you with a little bit of savings and profit. That's a fair price. I would say, as long as you can get there, that's a fair price. ¿Tengo ArtStation? Claro que tengo ArtStation. Y tengo página web. Si quieres checar mis cursos, bro, están en www.abrahamleal3d o apleal3d.com. This is my my site. And right now we have 5 courses, which is the Maya course, the Blender course, the ZBrush course, the Marvelous Designer course, and the Substance Painter course. All of those courses are available on demand whenever you want to join. They're completely recommended. And this is my ArtStation right here. I definitely need to do some cleanup here on the ArtStation. I actually have some things that I have not published yet. I might publish, I'm not sure. Wister, thanks for the follow. Vale Gonzalez, thanks for the follow. Rahul, thanks for the follow. And Ben LOD, I'm not sure if I thank you for the resub, man, but thank you very much. Gonzalo Pizarro Sánchez dice, si quiero checar todo lo que tengo de Maya, llevo 10 años y apesto. ¿Sueno más serio en español? Tengo la voz más profunda. Sí, no sé, mi voz en inglés se vuelve más aguda. My voice in English tends to be a little bit what's that word in English? It's not sharp. It's I don't know. It just changes. So I would need to see your portfolio, Gonzalo, to be able to give you more feedback. If you want, we're gonna be opening portfolio review in the next couple of days on the Discord channel. Yeah, higher pitch. There you go. That's the word. So you might want to submit, and I might be able to give you some pointers. It can happen. I mean, 10 years, it's quite a bit of time. So we will need to check how much you've been practicing, the type of stuff that you've been doing, things like that to pinpoint where the problem might be. But yeah, 10 years should give you a nice level, man. What do big games companies look for in a portfolio? Quality. I would say that's the key word. They look for quality stuff. They want to see that you know the pipeline properly, and that you know, yeah, the process in general. ¿Tienes pensado hacer el curso de diseño? No, not designer. And the reason I don't want to, or I can't do designer, is because I don't know designer. So I don't, the type of work that I do does not require me to what's the word? To do a lot of like custom materials. So most of the materials that I use, I get online. And therefore, designer has not been on my list of things to do. As I've mentioned before, Cesar, the industry is definitely on a crisis right now. We are trying to adjust, and there's a bunch of different factors. Not only AI. I know it seems like AI is the big culprit right now, but it's not. The main culprit is that post-COVID, like during COVID, we were all locked down. And content was king, so creating any type of content was valuable because there was nothing else to do than to consume content. Therefore, people were just focusing on that. However, now that people are out again, right? Like people are living their lives, we're seeing that not only do you need any type of content, you need a good content. And I would say that's the crisis that we're going through right now. Companies started investing too much money on content that was not really curated, and a lot of games, movies, and series were made that were really bad. Bad movies, bad series, bad games, bad decisions. And when that happened, studios started losing a lot of money. So right now, studios do not want to spend money on more products because they need to make sure that when they spend money, they get their money back. So that's the thing. Maury, yeah, we did one, man. We did one last week. Last Friday we had a portfolio review. The next one's gonna be on the final weeks of this month. Sathrak, what's up, man? What skills fundamentals would you recommend I learn if I want to become a VFX particle artist? Oh, that's a good one. I'm not sure, man. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. VFX is one of those things that I've been like not into. Like, it's not, I like it, but it's so technical and it's so different from what I've been doing for the past years that it's not something that I really know about. So my advice is to look for someone who's more into particles, and he might be able to give you a better idea. But I would say like the basics, you know, fire, explosion, magic stuff, that's the kind of stuff that you definitely need to know about. I know right now inside of Unreal, the system that everyone's using is Niagara. But I also know that there's a lot of like hand-drawn things that you can do like in Photoshop, and then you use that as like templates to drive your particles and things like that. Again, that's definitely something that I am not proficient at. So this is what I originally wanted to do today before we got so many questions, which is fine, by the way. I love the questions, guys. Been a very, very informative session today. Yeah, Houdini is really good, but well, no, yeah, Houdini has been used for games as well. Yeah, you might want to look into Houdini. There was a very sad news this week on the industry. Siva, which was the tools that was used for muscle deformation, was bought up by NPC, I think, because the owners were Unity and they sold it, and whoever they sold it to, they said that they were not gonna release it to the public anymore. So we're gonna have to find another muscle deformation system. And I read that Houdini has some nice muscle deformation systems. DNG, there you go. Thank you, Cesar. DNG, double negative, bought Siva FX. ZBrush has a very cool trick. It has this spiral, and if you go to initialize, you can align the spiral in different axes, and you can flip and change how the spiral is gonna be. This one for horns is very good. Yeah, that's good. And then we just go back here, we say subtool, and we append. Do you think it's reliable nowadays to have skills in concept art and 3D to apply for a job in the industry? Yes, because again, concept art is more about design than execution. Wait a second, no, that's not the one. So when you're designing something, or when you're doing concept art, you're designing. I mean, it is important, of course, to be able to do pretty stuff, right? You've seen like in League of Legends, the splash arts and stuff like that. They're very important, but it's also very, very important to be able to design. So even if you can convey your idea in a very like rough sketch, I think that's valuable. But concept arts and modelers are two different things. Like you don't need to be a concept artist to be a modeler, and vice versa. ¿Cuál es el error más común que puedes identificar en los nuevos artistas 3D? What's the most common error that you can see on beginner artists? Again, they go too ambitious. They try to do a lot of stuff when they are just learning the tools, and they focus on the wrong things, I would say. So sculptures, they start focusing on details instead of form. Animators, they focus on the exaggerated poses instead of timing. So yeah, not having like the proper focus is, I would say, a very big mistake, because the fundamentals are what really make a piece like really, really good or really, really bad. So you need to make sure that you know your fundamentals. Will it be possible for you to show us how to sculpt hair? I think I've sculpted hair before, but yeah, we can do a tutorial about that. Yeah, concept art has to have that thing that really pulls you towards it, makes you gravitate towards the piece, and that's the kind of stuff that, again, AI might know or doesn't really know, because it doesn't know. AI is not intelligent in that sense. It's intelligent where, in regards to that, it knows how to find the things that make something. So if you ask AI what an apple is, it knows how to find the data set and all of the information to show you how an apple looks like. It's not the same thing to to know how an apple looks like than to make an appealing drawing or an appealing concept of an apple. Houdini, gotta love when big companies make it harder for us to make stuff. Yeah. But that's that's the system, man, unfortunately. There's not much we can do about it. That's the game we're in. Just gotta adapt. But I do like those decisions because they do breed innovation sometimes. So now someone's gonna be like, oh, Siva is no longer offering an option for users. I'll do it. We'll do it. We'll create a new software, and maybe they'll be better than Siva. So that's pretty cool. What's my favorite thing to sculpt? Fantasy stuff. You know, goblins, orcs, dragons, dwarves. Definitely fantasy stuff. How did I got fluent in English? Practice. A lot of practice. And I'm not even that good. Like, I do get confused and make very obvious mistakes every now and then. But you need to... Well, of course, I was 3 years in the United States when I was a student. So, yeah, exactly. I was exposed to a lot of English. I learned a lot of dialect. It's not dialects. You just get used to how it sounds. If you know the instruction, then... Or the construction, rather. See, for instance, who was asking about the hair? Well, this is a very, like, rough approach at hair. This is how we'll do my, like, blocking of the hair. Just clay buildup. Just get a general idea of where this guy is going to be furry. And then we'll polish some of this hair. Usually on the symmetry line, you want to break it up a little bit, but right now, again, it's just a sketch. Rams have ears, right? Of course they have ears. Oh, that's way too... That's wrong. I think the horns are a little bit low, so I'm gonna have to place the ears a little bit lower. I like this guy. He's funny. He's like an angry goat. He's like, "Argh." This guy is for the chess set that I'm doing, guys. Remember? I would say 2 years. White minus. It took me about 2 years of working on 3D to get there. You guys want to see some of the early work? I've shown it already. I'm trying to think where it is. Let me see. If I'm logged in Facebook, I'll show you. No, I'm not logged in. Fuck. No, sorry. I can't show you it right now, but I did show it a couple of streams ago, man. Some of my early anatomy was, like, not that good. But it's part of the process. Yeah, no, you can, like, this is definitely stylized hair. Like, the chess set that I'm thinking about is gonna be stylized. Not super stylized, but just a little bit. So that's why I'm doing this back right here. See, this is where reference is very important. What is the name? Does anyone know the name of the leather things that go around the head of a horse? What's the name in English? I know in Spanish is brida, creo. Bridle, there you go. So the reason why reference is so important is because I'm gonna add one. I want to add one to my character, but I want to make sure where it is. Let's get pure ref real quick. If you don't have pure ref, I'm gonna ban you on the Discord channel. No, I'm kidding, but Purif is just so good. Says, hello there, how are you today? I'm still learning, but I was lurking. Do you mind telling me how you did the horns? Of course, man. So I started with the spiral here in ZBrush, one of the basic 3D meshes right here. And when you click on that, you can go down here to the Initialize tab. And on the Initialize tab, you can change some of the properties. So I changed some of them to get to this part right here. I changed the alignment, I changed the coverage, the thickness, and I got this horn shape right here. And then back on my main tool, I just appended that new spiral 3D that I have right here. And that's it. Okay, so he's gonna have this, and then there's gonna be one going probably behind the horns. I'm not sure I'd like this one on the front. Probably gonna be very thin though. I don't know. Like, I know I have to go back there. This is where, again, you break realism a little bit. Doesn't really matter. It's just an idea of how it looks. So I'm probably just going to keep it like this, to be honest. Maybe add a second one right here. A little bit of an overlap. Then there's like the ring, right? So that's the idea. So let's start with the first one. So I'm going to use a technique that I use all the time. You guys are probably tired of this one, but it's very good. It's honestly very good. And I'm going to be able to get like that very, very close effect real quick. So I'm going to go over here to extract. 0 thickness. And if you want to learn more about ZBrush, guys, I know there's some beginner level students right now here in the chat. I got the Oni course. I've been mentioning it a little bit through the... What's the word? Through the stream. We're gonna link it in just a second, but if you want to check it out, there's like actually a couple of free lessons that you can check before buying the course. So yeah, just give it a shot. If someone would like to be a Groom artist, how measure? You need to look at reference, Cesar. Like, look at how they do it on other games, and try to get an idea of the rough poly count. But it gets heavy. It does get heavy. It's part of the process. Okay, so we got this, but it's super ugly. So we're gonna go to deformation, polish by crisp edges, and then we're gonna say geometry, see remeasure, then half. We're gonna see remesh heavily. Then once we're here, again deformation. Polish by crisp edges. Oh, that's a little bit too much. There we go. Again, see remeasure. What I want to get here is I want to try to get the tool to give me perfect loops, like those, which is great. It's great. And then, at this point, we got enough geometry, I would say. So I'm gonna go just again to deformation, just a little bit of polish. And we can start cleaning this up. We go to geometry, dynamic subdiv, no smooth, thickness, offset up, probably a little bit of offset in. We look for a nice sort of like border. That looks... I think that looks good. Because this is going to be 3D printed, so I don't want this to be super, super thin. Otherwise, it becomes difficult to work with. And at this point, it might be a good idea to try to smooth things out a little bit to get a cleaner silhouette. Because we have not applied this thickness. So this is like a modifier instead of Blender. That's just it's a preview of what's going to happen. It's very, very easy to just clean things up without having to worry about the border, because there's no border. It's just a preview of the thickness. Both of them are great, Sathrak, and they both serve different purposes. So I use both. To be honest, most of the time I will start with Dynamesh, and eventually I'll just jump to Subdivision because it just gives you a little bit more flexibility for the details. Let's apply this. So now we have the thickness. Now it's permanent. Now we cannot smooth because, as you can see, when we smooth, we lose the nice sharp edge. We're gonna go see Modeler, and I want to polygroup that guy, that guy. That guy with a different polygroup. That guy. Then we're gonna go Q mesh. Polygroup all. We're gonna push this up. A little bit, something like that. And then this one, we're gonna bevel. Edge loop complete. Quite heavily. Both sides. And then we're gonna bevel 2 rows there. There, and there. I know there's creasing. I always get the question, why are you not creasing? I don't like creasing. I just like traditional poly workflow techniques. And that's one of the beautiful things about 3D is like you don't need to use the tool that everyone uses it. As long as you get to the result, you're fine. Now when we Control D to subdivide, look at that. This very nice clean bridle here for our RAM. And now I can even go here with my trim dynamic, and thanks to that little border that I added, not with creasing but with actual geometry, I get a little bit of extra geometry there on the border to add this sort of like stylized damaged leather effect that will be a little bit more difficult to do with the other technique. Now I do like the shape that this thing has right there, where it changes a little bit here on the front. I'm gonna use my move brush to just give it a little bit more thickness on the forward section. There we go. Not bad, right? What do you guys think? You guys got quiet all of a sudden. Were you just hypnotized by the sculpting? Could be worse. There we go. We got Antique Gamer YouTube. Absorbing knowledge. Nice. Let's add one more subdivision. And again, keep in mind that this piece is going to be printed at roughly this size. So this is where you focus on the main silhouette and the main shapes rather than the super intricate details, because you're not even gonna see them on the 3D print. Mischievous Red, thanks for the follow, man. I started learning Serious this year, so watching stuff like this is so interesting and inspiring. There you go. Yeah, I got the Dwarven sword, guys. I'm not scared to use it. Well, I'm a little bit scared because I broke I broke the one from yesterday, but hopefully this new design is gonna hold up better. It's a shame. What I'm thinking about doing, here's what I want to do. But this is more hobby level stuff. So this is the one that I broke yesterday, right? And as you can see, it broke here from the handle. So I was swinging it, and when I swung it, it just like broke because there's not enough reinforcement on this area. And when it broke, or when it like went flying, it crashed on the floor and it broke over here as well. Hopefully you can see that section. But then I saw this and was like, this looks like remember Lord of the Rings Anduril, the sword that it's like destroyed and then they reforge it. So I could fix this, like I could just glue this together, break a little bit more in here, break a little bit more in here, and this could be like the destroyed version of the sword. And I could paint it and everything, and then I would have like the damaged version of the sword, and then like the reforged version. I think that would be pretty cool. Especially if you're role-playing and you got a character that his main goal is to reforge his sword. That already sounds like a full story. Let's add the eyes real quick. A pen, eyes, sphere. eyes are gonna be a little bit bigger than normal, and the reason why this is because, again, it's stylized. So stylized and a little bit exaggerated. What is your dream project as a 3D artist? Oh, that's a great question, man. So if you were to ask me this question when I was first starting, I would have said to work on a cinematic for a game, like a cinematic department. But nowadays, I think I would love to work for a game, like a Witcher game or like a Larian Studios game, like fantasy game, Elden Ring, and do just characters for them. I think that would be pretty cool. Movies have never been my goal, to be honest. I mean, it would be cool to have your name on like a Marvel movie or something, but to be honest, I like games more. Now, it might seem like I'm exaggerating the eyes too much right there, but again, you gotta remember that this is gonna be 3D printed, and all of this detail is gonna be like smoothed out because of the size and because of the resin. So we gotta stylize things a little bit more than usual. That's the thing, Harambe. That is the thing. And that is the sort of like philosophical question that everyone should ask themselves at one point in their lives. I asked myself that question back in the day. Would I sacrifice sacrifice, I think is the right word, everything to go and work at some of these places that I just mentioned? It depends. Right now, no. I'm really, really happy with where I am at my life right now. I got my family close, of course, my wife, my kid. I got my friends, a lot of projects that I'm working on. They might be small projects, but they allow me to live a very fulfilling life, to be honest. And that, to me, is very valuable. Some people value the fame and the prestige more, and that's totally valid. But hey, we each have our own life, and we each have our own decisions to make. And to me, right now, the decisions that I'm making are making me very, very happy. I want to continue doing that. Howdy, Flo. What's up, man? Welcome. No, it's no offense. And I think from a technical standpoint, there's really nothing stopping me from, again, sending my portfolio and getting some of those jobs. But as I was answering Harambe right here, it's one of those things that you need to think about as a person, right? Like, I think for us as artists, it gets a little bit tricky because art and life are so intertwined, right? Like, we see art as part of our life, but you need to understand that this is a job, right? Like, it's not the same thing. We were talking about this earlier with AI. It's not the same thing to do something as a job and to do something for fun or as a hobby. So for me, as a job, I don't want to be dealing with a lot of the things that the job requires, to be on the office all day, meetings and that kind of like feedbacks and stuff like that. So that's not something that I am particularly fond of experimenting. I'm way more comfortable and way more happy with the type of work that I do here as an instructor, as a teacher, with my freelance work, with my studio work, that again, they are smaller scope projects. Here's a very important one. And this is one of the big decisions why I decided to do what I'm doing right now. When I started realizing how the industry works, you realize that once you're in a big company, like a big Disney production or a big game production, there's not a lot of control, creative control that you're going to have. So I'm not saying this is wrong, but you do become a little bit more like a cog in the machine, right? So you're just a piece of the whole team, which is very important, but there's not a lot of creative input that you can put into the games. That's why I like the indie scene a little bit more, and that's why I was mentioning the book, right? Like, that to me is way more valuable. That's why that book to me is the most valuable book, because it's the work of one person. I'm seeing what one person did, not the whole team. And here in Mexico, for instance, where I have my little studio, when we do the projects that I was talking about, I have complete control of how we're going to tell that story. And not only myself, also the artists that work with me, we always have this conversation of how we want to tell this story. And yes, again, it's a small project. A very few percentage of people will see it. But it's very, very fulfilling to be able to say, I did all of that. And some of you guys might be solo devs, or you want to do your own like solo dev game, and you might feel the same way. Like having that sort of like creative control, even if it's a smaller scope thing, is way more. It's not more valuable. At least for me, it's more valuable. Some people might not find it as valuable, but for me, it's very valuable. Exactly. I try to look for other things that keep me fulfilled holistically as a whole. Exactly. Oh, no speaker. That's awesome, man. That's great. And yeah, I have a lot of, like, one of my cousins, he moved to Canada. He's not a 3D artist. He moved for other reasons. But he's pursuing his life over there. And I'm always, I always like to see people succeed and see people happy. Like, I'm not one of those, like, douchebags that don't like to see others succeed. A lot of my students, they're working on very important films right now, very important games, and I'm very happy for them. And it's not that I'm jealous or anything. I'm truly happy for them, because that's the path that they chose, and they're fulfilling that path. I just chose a slightly different path, and again, I'm very happy with it. So I feel like sometimes we need to understand that not everyone has to go through the same path, and there are so many paths in life. There's so many things in life that are very fulfilling, and it's very important that we appreciate those parts as well. I think I said this the other day, like, if you never work at the Disney movie, if you never work for Pixar, if you never work at a AAA studio, that does not mean that you are not a good artist. That does not mean that you are not a professional artist, because there's a bunch of people that don't do that, and they are professional artists. If you never have your credits on a AAA game, that does not mean that you're not a good video game artist. Like, again, let's use the example of Stardew Valley. Would you consider Stardew Valley to be a AAA game? Probably not, but still a very ambitious game. And I'm sure no one would say that Concerned Ape is not a game developer. He is one of the best indie developers in the world, and that's fine. His name might never be on the AAA game, but that doesn't mean that he didn't make good games, right? So I think we as a society make that mistake quite often of assigning success to things that of course are successful, but we forget to see the success in so many other things. And I think it's very important that we bring a little bit of that back, or try to find that again in the world. Whatever that makes you happy is the best choice, I guess. Yeah, that's it. Because you never know what's going to happen on the other side. I read an interview, or was watching an interview recently about someone who helps students get into like top Ivy League colleges. And she was saying that one of the best things that you can do is just make a decision. Just take your decision and roll with it. Because you never know what's gonna happen. And we always ask ourselves, oh, for instance, in my case, like I sometimes ask myself, what would have happened if instead of doing this that I'm doing right now, I decided to follow the traditional path and get into like a AAA studio and do stuff as an artist there? I don't know. It could have been better. It could have been worse. Like, we don't know. But it's really not worth it to question yourself and ask yourself what would have happened, because there's absolutely no way you can know. The best thing you can do is just roll with what you have right now. Be happy with what you have. Keep pursuing your goals. Keep following your dreams and your passion. That's it. If you do that, I guarantee you're going to be happier than if you continue to question whether you made the right choice or not. But it's a little bit more of a deep question. It's not ZBrush related. So let's answer some of the software related question, like this one right here. And it's, hey, I'm really stuck at high poly to low poly. Any suggestions? Retopology, the new course that I'm going to be releasing soon, is probably going to be the best guide for that, my friend. Which is, you need to do a good retopology to capture all of the detail and bake it. We do cover a little bit of that on the Blender course. So if you're a Blender user, you might want to check the Axe course. And there's also a couple of series. I did that on the chest tutorial, I think, on the channel, on the YouTube channel. So if you don't want to pay right now, because economics are tight for everyone, then that's fine. You can also find that on the YouTube channel. In Games We Trust says, my opinion is that there isn't a good artist and a less good one. Only that one has a chance to be known, Martin. Exactly, yeah. And there's a lot of things that happen in life, right? Like who you know, where you are geographically, the opportunity that is given to you, and that really changes the outcome for a lot of people. So that's why you shouldn't That's why I find it very toxic to compete against other people, because everyone has a different, again, life and a different set of chances and skills and things. So you should compete only against yourself. Like, you should check whether or not you grew as an artist, as a person, every month, every year, and that's where you're gonna see the improvement. I was reading a very cool article, I think it was on Reddit yesterday, that said that because money is always the thing, right? Like, we always say, oh, we want to be millionaires or billionaires. And there was this very interesting article that said that every single billionaire that is 30 years or younger in the world right now, which is like, I think it was like 27 or 32 billionaires that are less than 30 years, they all inherited their wealth. So the chances of us right now becoming billionaires are a little bit low. They're a little bit difficult, right? So the odds are not in our favor, and that's not wrong. It's just like it's not their fault that they were born into richness in this case. It's just the cards that you were dealt and that you have to play in your life. I feel like there are more 3D modelers than there are 3D modeling jobs. The bar is so high. Some days as a student, it feels like the amount of work requires to... Again, Tranquil, you need to understand that the works and the jobs that you see are the top ones, the most visible ones. You will not believe how many jobs are out there that require 3D modelers and 3D artists that are not advertised as easily. But that's where you need to do a little bit more research and look for stuff. I was showing you guys this thing, like this trout that I'm doing right now. It's a trout, a freaking trout, a fish. It's not for a game. It's not for a film. It's a trout that they need for some sort of like anatomical model at a museum. And that's it. It's a trout. I've done jewelry, I've done architectural visualization, I've done product renders, I've done 3D prints or 3D models for 3D print. So there's a lot of jobs out there that might not be your traditional game jobs or entertainment jobs, where you can still use all of the skills that you've learned as a 3D artist and make a good living out of it. Yes, unfortunately, there are a lot of scammers in games with trust. That is unfortunate, but that, again, that happens in all the industries. So it's not unique to us as 3D artists. But yeah, guys, never do work for free. That's the first red flag. If they tell you that they need you to do something, always ask for an advance payment. If they do not send the advance payment, do not start working on the project. Do not do it, because they will scam you. You will start working, you will send them some updates, and even if you don't send them the final version, you already did some work for them, and they might never pay you. So never, never, ever, never work for free. Always ask for an advance payment. Quite fun. Yeah, it's been quite fun, Pinko, to have a 3D printer. I've already had a 3D printed before. I had a Mars 3. I still use it. Actually, just bought new films for it, new FEP films. But now we got the Neptune and the Saturn, which are big printers, and they're very fun. Did I show you the Stormtrooper helmet? I did, right? Did I show you the painted version? I don't think I did. Give me 1 second. It's not finished. I've not finished it. Well, it already has the white paint. Looks quite nice. And the cool thing is, this was printed in only 2 pieces, which was quite impressive, to be honest. Go full screen real quick. So this is just the first sort of like a hand of paint. I still need to add more elements, and it's the top part of the helmet and the bottom part. I'm probably gonna be painting it red. You know, the red Stormtroopers. Those are my favorites, so probably gonna be that one. Yeah, this was very, very fun to print. I did have one fail when I was doing it, but that was my mistake, because I forgot to change the filament. And it ran out of filament, and then when it started again, it didn't do it like properly, so it was like offsetted. And there are a couple of layer lines that could definitely be improved. I need to do a little bit of sanding here and there, but it already looks like quite nice, I would say. You can see it right there. Got a couple of like mistakes like right there. I need to fill in that area. But yeah, it was a fun project. Let's leave it there for now. The visor is gonna be a film, probably. I think you can buy like this sheets of like black semi-transparent film. At least that's what I've been seeing on the cosplay forums. Beanie art, no, I do not look for, like, I'm not using any freelance platform. I'm getting it, again, as I mentioned, like, after several years of doing this, you build a reputation, and people know you. So one client gets you to another, and to another. So I've been fortunate enough that that a lot of my work has been from people just finding me and being like, hey, this guy recommended me to you. I need this. Can you help me? And that's how I do it. But I know that that's not... like, not everyone's gonna be able to do that, and I understand that. So that's why I think Fiverr is probably one of the platforms that people recommend every now and then. I'm not sure how good it is, or if there's a lot of scammers stuff, but Fiverr and Upwork, I think, are the ones that I've seen. Eduardo says, I did a freelance recently. I delivered and got the money. 1 month later, they come back and ask for my blend file. Unbelievable. Yeah, I don't, unless it's specified on the contract, I don't usually send the final files to the client. For instance, if it's a 3D print job, then yeah, I'll send the C tool in case they want to like change something. Because at the end of the day, they already have like the decimated version, so whatever. But yeah, for character arts or character art that I've done, it's just you get the low poly model. And you get the texture files. You don't get the substance file. You don't get the model. And if you want them, I charge them extra to get it. Because I know that once they have the file, they're not going to call me anymore. They don't need me anymore. So that's why the raw files or the main files I normally don't share. Una pregunta, ¿es alguna? Ah, ya la respondí esa. Yeah, no, if it's for renders, I would never like deliver the Blender file. No, because then that means that they can do more renders. No, if they want more renders, what I tend to do for renders, because I've done several like architectural visualization renders, is that I tell them if they buy 5 renders, I'll give them 8. I'll be like, just pick 3 more like shots that you might want, and I'll do them for you. It's fine. Because I already have the files, I already have the lights. Just a couple more minutes, right? So, yeah. Have I tried sculpting in Blender? Yes, I have. The Blender course that I have is all done in Blender. And I've done a couple of Blender exercises. It's not bad. It's not a bad rendering, or sorry, it's not a bad... it's not a bad sculpting software, but ZBrush is better. I know people are gonna be like, oh, but ZBrush is so expensive. Yes, I know, but it's your tool. As a professional, you need to pay for your tools. A carpenter buys his like tools, right? A baker buys his materials. Like, everyone buys their stuff. So we as artists, you need to pay for your tools as well. If ZBrush is gonna be your tool, then you need to pay for it. And of course, you include the price of your tool in the price that you're gonna quote your clients. So the $45 that you pay for ZBrush every month, that should be included in your expenses. Remember we talked about that earlier today? So we include that in the expenses, and that's where you get the price for your stuff, because you know that from all the money that you get that month, $45 are gonna go to ZBrush. And then here's another thing, and I know this is this is gonna raise some controversy as well, but unfortunately here in Mexico, a lot of artists, they do things like not illegally, but they do not pay their taxes. They just get the money and they don't pay taxes. And technically, you need to pay taxes. Everyone pays taxes. So if you want to be a professional artist, if you want to be seen professionally, you need to pay taxes. And when you pay taxes, you can use the price of your softwares as tax deductions, because they're part of the things that you use to do your job, right? So I've always played by the book. I always like to do things right, because it's just easier that way. Yes, you don't get as much money and you need to pay things, and you can argue, for instance, here in Mexico, our government is really, really bad. It's a really, really bad government, very corrupt. So I know a lot of my taxes are going to someone else's pocket. But hey, not much you can do. I mean, the other option you have is just use all open source software, right? But you need to add the ability to tip on your live stream. I think I have it. I'm not sure if it's is it not enabled? I was pretty sure it was enabled. I mean, on Twitch it's definitely enabled with the bits and everything. On YouTube it should be enabled as well. Actually, I don't know. I'll check on that, man. But yeah, I appreciate it. Another thing is, I mean, if you guys want to tip and you don't want to buy any courses, if you go to the Gumroad page, I got several models. Most of them are for free, and you can just add whatever price you want there. But it's not necessary. Don't worry. Okay, let's go on the horns. So for the horns, I definitely want a little bit more silhouette. So I'm gonna add a rich. We're gonna dynamesh this a little bit later. Go. Another one right here. Discord link isn't valid. It shouldn't be. David, if you're on the YouTube chat, can you send Satrak the Discord link? Shouldn't be invalid. But we'll check in just a second. What happens is when you join Discord, you're going to be in a wait room. You need to wait there a little bit, and then we'll give you access. That's to keep things a little bit safer for everyone. Because unfortunately, have you guys seen there's been so much like spam and scams online? That'll work. Don't worry, my friend. Keep learning. Keep improving. I'll see you back on the next one. Remember, we stream every Friday at 11 a.m. We might start a little bit earlier. Like today, we started like 10 minutes earlier, 15 minutes earlier. I kind of like that time. So we might start at 10:30 a.m. next time. That way we can go just a little bit longer. And because I know there's a lot of people on the other side of the world right now. It's very late. Might be like midnight or something. Let's push this one. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna keep things a little bit more sharp. It's 12:19 in India where I am, yeah. But it's Friday, right? So tomorrow there's no school, there's no work, so hopefully that also makes it a little bit easier. 9:49 in Europe. 21 in Warsaw. Almost 3 in the morning for me. Where are you, Army? Are you like in Australia or something like that? The Philippines? That seems very late. Philippines, there you go. Trying to find a folder where I had the rook and everything. Barrel, gauge, cannon, coins. Just 3 p.m. in Brazil. There you go. Yeah, Brazil is not that far from Mexico in time zones. I don't remember where this is. Magic orb? No. Ah, wait. I think I know. Scenes? Oh, man. Don't tell me I lost it. This is the rook. Remember we did the rook? And what I wanted to do is I wanted to extract the vase from the rook. But now I don't know where I saved it. Ah, that sucks. I think I might have saved it inside of another project or something. I should save it here. Well, anyway, I'm gonna save it here for now. I need to look for it. Where that is. I know this is not a horse, I know it's a goat, but it's the knight in chess. Let's just stream dynamic, and there we go. Cool. So yeah, this is gonna be an interesting weekend for me, my friends. And we're about to finish our stream today. And as I promised, next week we're gonna have the release of our new course. We're gonna have the announcement on Friday, of course, with a special live stream. They need to get to work on the element. What softwares do I use for render? Arnold, usually from Maya, but I've used the Cycles as well from Blender. It's really good. Marmoset, if I want to do like some game render engine, and even a real engine, is also a good one for renders. Cool. So there you go, guys. Small little sculpture today. Spent a lot of time in the first hour just talking about the what's the word, about the 3D world and questions about work and stuff like that. So yeah, we're gonna stop the stream right here, my friends. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. People on Twitch, thank you for being here. People on YouTube, thank you for being here. If you missed part of the stream, don't worry, it's gonna be available tomorrow as well here in YouTube. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to subscribe here on Twitch if you're also watching on Twitch. Every little subscribe, every little like, everything works and helps to grow this channel and allows me to keep bringing you guys more and more stuff. And as always, if you want to support the channel and all of the community that we're growing, make sure to join our Discord and make sure to check our premium courses at www.avleal3d.com. That's it, my friends. Thank you very much. Thank you, David, for being here as well, for all of the support. Thank you to everyone, and I'll see you back on the next one.